got another video for you. Basically, I was on my early shift, driving the Whitfield bus earlier this morning, and there was a stolen. I was coming down, driving the bus down Berwick Drive, just before it gets to the bend, the sweeping bend at the bottom of Long Haul Road. This was about 7:00 this morning, and I saw 4 youths running away with face masks on, so you couldn't really see who they were, but there were 4 youths, I knew that. And what I think had happened, now I'm not saying that that's who this is what happened, basically there was, as I was coming down, there was an old Ford Fiesta, probably early 2000s model of car, maybe 15 to 20 year old, that sort of range of age of car, probably 20 year old, just under 20 year old car. That's Ford Fiesta. And I think what happened is, I think it was a stolen car that was being raced down Long Haul Road, and they got to the sweeping bend where it sweeps right if you're heading into Whitfield. And I think that the joyriders lost control and mounted the verge and burst the front near side tyre, and then they just abandoned it in the middle of the road. They just abandoned it in the middle of the road. And as I say, I was coming down this morning on the bus. I was at the back of 7, and I saw 4 youths, teenagers, and they were running and looking back and everything, and towards where the car was, and had their face masks on. So I'm not saying for 1 minute that it was they 4 that were involved in that. I'm not saying that, but there was no one else around. It was the back of 7 this morning, 4 youths running away, looking around. They've never, and the car was it just happened. Because the traffic had only just started to, well, there wasn't much traffic, but it started to back up a little bit. But I was able to get the bus around it. But my point is no, I'm not, as I say, saying it was them, but how do you identify people? If somebody wanted a description, they could have been wanting to ask these youths, the 4 youths that were the teenagers that were running away from the car in that direction, running away from it, as if they were running away from it, like they've just crashed it and they're legging it, basically. And I'm not saying that that's what's happened, but seeing suspects, and they wanted maybe perhaps witnesses. How do people identify who they were when they've got the masks on? That's all you're going to see. How are you going to? They had hats on as well. So how do you identify that? How do you get a description? So it was yesterday, a couple of days ago. I was on a late shift. I went into a petrol station for a coffee, and it was late. I put the face mask on, and I felt really odd. I was going into putting a mask on and going into a petrol station at the middle of the night. If you did that before, all this mandatory face coverings, you went and put a mask on and go to a petrol station, they'd probably think you're going to rob the place, arm hold up or something. But the point is to say, identify. How do you identify people that, I'm not saying that the 4 that were running were ones that were the culprits. You get the. It was a trend back in the 80s and 90s. I remember seeing it in the early 90s. It was lots of burnt out, stolen cars. It was they joyride them and then they just dump them, torch them. I don't know how it's starting up again. Well, this was an older type of car. This was a 20-year-old. It was certainly an earlier Ford Fiesta. But when I saw that, I just thought, they've just come in that corner at a breakneck speed, lost control, burst the front tyre, left in the middle of the road, out the car, leg it with their masks on. All of them had masks on in the middle, outside, teenagers with masks on. All of a sudden, that's a mask on, running away from it, looking back at it, and then the scamper. And then later on, when I come in for the terminus, later on that journey, I saw them. No, it was in the same ship. It was coming down Berwick Drive, just past the car. I managed to squeeze past it, and then further up Long Hill Road, I saw them again with their masks on. But I'm not saying, as I say, it's always innocent until proven guilty. Always. So they could have just been wanting to speak to them for witnesses. That's all. But you can't identify who was there, no. But that's that point. I'm going to show you where it was roughly on this. I'll switch this off and just show you. There's a few other things I want to show you as well on the video. I'm going to try and keep it short because I'm going to watch the memory on this phone. Right, I'll go up and just show you where it is. Right, this is where the car incident happened. So this is coming down Long Hill Road. I reckon it was coming down here at some speed. It's multi-disc verge, this curb. You can see the marks and everything, all the marks. It's burst the tyre, went right along here, and it came to a rest in the middle of the road there. You can see where the mud marks are. So it's come right down there at some speed. I was just lucky there was nobody there, because it would have been mogged right down. So it came down there, and just then it came to a rest in the centre of the road there. It was a Fiesta. So you see where it's tufts of grass just in the centre there. Yeah, it was just lucky nobody was killed. Yeah, so that's I showed you what had happened, or where it happened rather. It was a burgundy coloured early, I can't remember if it was a 51 plate or something. I didn't actually get a chance to look at the number plate of the car, but it was an older type of Fiesta. So anyway, I'm going to move on to a few other things I just want to share with you. I'm going to put up a photograph of, it's a Lexus, a model of car. And I just want to, I'm going to show you this photo first, and then I'll tell you what I think about it. Right, so I'm going to put that up now, okay? Okay, so you saw that photograph I put up. I mean, I look at the front of that car. I saw it on a billboard, and what came to mind was, like, people buy cars for various reasons, irrational reasons, not necessarily to get from point A to point B efficiently. They buy it for, they could. It's known. I mean, the car market is aware that people buy cars for irrational reasons. Like, the point of a car is to get from point A to point B as efficiently as possible. But the front, when I look, I mean, people, I don't know, I'm kind of speaking for it, I'm just thinking that I reckon that people could buy cars for the design, the shape of it. They may put a face to the front of the car, so they look at the front of the car. It tends to have like a, you could relate it, some people may relate it, I do, I mean, I like cars, I look at models, and I watch the motorsport and that a lot. And they could relate the front of the car as a face, like you got the pair of eyes for the headlights, the grille for the mouth, and those facial features on the front of a car. And they could buy it for, make the car look, you can make it look fierce, focused, just by the shape of the headlights. It's down to psychology, basically, the way they design things. It's to do with how when the people see faces, they tend to, the brain's wired up to sort of recognise faces from shapes. It's just part of the psychology. So they put that in the model when I reckon they do that with car models. But to me, it looks like it's like somebody's face with a face mask on. That's what it's like. When you see the black grill, you could see obviously you'd have to go back on the video and pause it and have a good look at it. To me, it just looks like a face with a face mask on. The headlights being the eyes, and the black grill coming down right to the bottom of the face. Like the grill will come down the bottom of the front valance on the car, which would be the bottom bit of the face, if you like. I mean, I think it's been referred to, you could put faces to the front. So, I've seen it. I've seen cars with headlights that's been painted into the shapes of eyes. So I know that it's been shown that they relate the front of the car to the facial features on a person. So, I mean, I do. I've always been into like vehicles, cars, and I could see that easily. The eyes obviously would be the headlights, but this car model I showed you there, it looks like it's a 2020 model, I think, isn't it? It's quite a new one. It's a Lexus UX, and it's got the face mask look about it, because it's just got this black grille that comes right down, covers the grille, and you could say like the eyes would be the headlights. Anyway, that's just a thought. I'm going to put another photograph up as well. I'm going to try and keep this video short because I don't want to make it too long. I'll stick up. I'm just going to join another photograph on for you to see, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on that. Okay. Right, so the pictures that you saw of the two photos of the bee, it's quite a sad photo, that. In fact, it's a sad photo. That bee, it's basically what I'm trying to say is I've seen quite a lot of this lately, within the last, well, when I say lately, I mean, lately for me. I mean, like say in the 80s, 90s, in the early part of the 2000s, up to 2010, it wasn't common to see bees lying on the ground like that, like you saw on these photos I just put up. That wasn't. You hardly saw that. That started becoming more common after 2010, and it started really getting common towards the end of that decade, like 2017, 2018. But 2016 was a big turning point for me, like for a lot of things, supernatural things like the Mandela effect, the weather, all that. I mean, I was always aware of that. I've always been into. I always known there was supernatural stuff ever since it was as far back as I could remember. But it's sort of like really intensified, like it's obvious. But no, the bees. There's a lot of this now, and seen it an awful lot. It's not just, I've seen it with wasps as well. But when they're walking along the pavement, you see the bee just lying. It's like I've seen it walking along. Yeah, I've seen it on the ground, but it's still alive, trying to move. This, as I say, it's quite. It's becoming quite common. It's becoming widespread. It's worrying. It's a sad sight. It's not how it should be. I don't know what's happening there, but it's becoming more noticeable now anyway. So I just want to, it's a real shame because the actual bees have declined. You used to see in the summer, in spring, summer, autumn, you'd walk past the bushes, the flowers, you'd hear the bees, you'd see them everywhere. They'd be on the grass. I mean, they were everywhere. I used to catch bees when I was a kid, but I let them go again. But yeah, you would hear them, you would see them, you get stung. I was lucky, I only got stung twice in my life, but you know, it was a common sight, but the bees' numbers have declined. Well, you hardly see them. When you see a bush and you see bees on them, it's quite rare. It's like, gosh, that's a blast from the past. But yeah, it's a sad sight. You see these, if you're out and around, you'll see like the bee just lying on the ground, flat on the road or on the pavement, or it's a sad sight. That's not how it's meant to be. They're meant to be flying around, getting pollen and on the flowers, the trees, bushes and everything. You know, they're just lying there dying. It looks like they're dying. Just lying. It's quite common. I don't know what. It's always face down in the ground, just like I showed you on that photo. But moving on, I'm going to go on to just a few other things I'm going to tell you now. Try and watch the time on the video, so I'll pause this for a moment. Right, so I'm going to just move on to the other thing I was talking about, which was that the Mandela effect phenomena. I've mentioned before in my other videos about it. If you've watched the earlier ones, I've explained a wee bit about the Mandela effect phenomena. If you haven't seen those videos, in a nutshell, the Mandela effect is where history's changed, basically. What I suggest, if you are interested, is to go online and research. Just type in Mandela effect on Google and do your own research on it, and you'll get an idea where I'm coming from. But it is a subject, I truly believe in it because I've experienced it myself firsthand. So I'm just going to go through, if you go online and type Mandela effect, and you'll have hundreds of examples of Mandela effects on there. Now, I could relate to some of them, but there's a lot of them I could relate that I've experienced firsthand myself. Now, going to why it's called the Mandela effect is quite it's the phenomenon that they've dubbed that name phenomenon. I've explained it in another video, but I've got to watch the time on this video. But if you research it, it's a supernatural phenomenon basically, where there's lots of theories how you look on it. Something maybe it could be time warp, changing the past. It could be interdimensional consciousness shifting. That's what we are, consciousness shifting from one dimension to another dimension, where things are the same virtually in all of them, but slight differences. Hence, we pick up these differences. But I'll explain some of the stuff that I've experienced firsthand, and some of it as well is collaborated online. But it wasn't that I, the stuff I experienced firsthand. I experienced it firsthand before I knew it was called, or before it was. I wasn't just getting it online and getting an idea in my head that that's what it was. I've got the globe here. The one that stands out, there's quite a few on the globe, but the one that stands out most, for me anyway, is Australia. I've been there a few years back for a holiday, and I've been interested in going there for a long time prior to that holiday, and I know where it was on the globe. So I hold this thing at the same time. It's a bit difficult. Australia for me was basically, this is not the best. It was further south. It wasn't so near the land. Come on, I'll turn this camera and I'll explain it better. Right, that's better. Because I was trying to do things at once. So, it's not to do with the globe being inaccurate. This is just, I brought this globe so I could show you in here. I've got the map on, I've got the maps as well. It's on everywhere. It's on Google and everywhere else. But this, Australia, was away further south for me. Now, some people say it's because the land's moving, but it's nothing to do with that. The land doesn't move thousands of miles in a short space of time. Even if the land didn't move, the fact of the matter is that the maps have changed. Because this globe and the map that I've got hasn't been altered in any way, shape or form. They've been in my house, they've never been changed by anyone other than, what I'm saying here, the phenomena. That this Australia was way further south. It was surrounded by ocean. It wasn't so near Papua New Guinea and Indonesia and all that. It's just way too far north, Australia. It used to be surrounded by ocean. It was further south. But you can see there, you could practically it's just a stone throw away from Papua New Guinea. You can see it, how close it is. It was much, much further south than that, and it was surrounded by ocean. That's just one example. I'll turn this back around again. Yeah, that's just one example. Australia. That's one for me, because I could relate to that. Every time I've looked at maps prior to that, I mean, I discovered that just a couple of years ago, that Mandela effect, as I'm going to call it. There's other things as well. I mean, I've watched the documentaries about the JFK assassination. But I won't go into all that. I'm just going to say this. I've watched documentaries, but I always remember 4 people being in the car. It was JFK, his wife, the driver, and the Secret Service agent in the passenger seat. There was only 4. JFK, his wife, the driver, and the secret agent. There was only 4. But now, if you go back and check, you'll see now that there was 6 people in it. Governor Connolly and his wife as well. They were sitting in the middle. That's online also, that Mandela effect, but I could relate to that one because I remember seeing many footage, documentary footage obviously, of the JFK assassination, and there was only 4 people in the car. It was JFK, his wife, the driver, and the passenger. There was only 4. And get this, there's a museum dedicated about the JFK assassination. I've not been to it, but I've researched into it. And they have a replica car of the assassination. And it was a 4-seater. So, somebody try to get through. But all the history, I mean, the video that I've got, that I watched before the Mandela effect, had 4 people in it. And after I discovered it was a Mandela effect, I got that same video out. I played it. I hadn't left the house. I hadn't been tampered with or anything. I played it, and there was now 6 people in that car. I probably mentioned in another video the spelling of. I mean, there's loads of them. I'm just going to put a couple of it just now because it's getting a bit long. The spelling of Volkswagen. It's always, for me, it ended in an O-N. Volkswagen. It was VOLKSWAGON. Now, if you look back, it's EN. And I've got a car book, I've been in car books for years, and it's changed on that also. So that's just a few examples there that I could personally relate to. And it's not that I've got the idea put in my head from getting it online or anything like that. I've experienced that. There's other stuff that isn't on, lots of things that are not online to my knowledge, that I've experienced, that has changed. But I'll put that on for another video. The other thing I was going to mention is the weather, the erraticness of it. If you're looking, I mean, I've noticed this in the last few years, that the light levels vary considerably. They vary considerably. The light levels of the sun and the weather fluctuates. I mean, it could be like, it's not to do with the clouds, because it's been happening when it's been a blue sky. You get this light level, it's really bright, and then maybe later on not much later on, if it's in the afternoon, just maybe, in fact, it happens within an hour. It's like the sun's been dimmed. It's like it's been dimmed. The light level kind of drops a little bit. I notice it. It's not like how it used to be. It was always before. I mean, when I say used to be, I'm talking before 2010. Certainly before 2016, 2015 anyway. But after 2010, things started getting a bit. But after 2016, then things really shouting out to me that there's stuff going on. But prior to all that, the weather used to have a light level that would light up in the morning, it would get afternoon, and it would sun would set, and it would be just a steady, constant, you know, it would brighten up in the morning, it would be at its brightest during the afternoon, then it would start to get dimmer as it got on to the evening, and then at night it would be dark. Obviously, it still does that same sort of trend today, but what's happening is it's getting lighty, and then at the afternoon and that, the light level's sort of fluctuating. It's going dimmer, and then it gets brighter again, and it's dimmer, and it's sort of doing that all the way. You know, it's still genuinely following the same pattern, but it's sort of, before it was nice, neat and tidy. It was just, it would light up in the morning, then it would get to its brightest as the sun is overhead in the afternoon, and it would start to gradually get dimmer as it was getting on for the night. But in recent years, within the last 4 anyway, it's doing the same general idea, but it's sort of fluctuating like that. You know, it's getting dimmer, brighter, dimmer, brighter, dimmer and brighter, and it's going like that kind of thing. You know, it's oscillating. The light level's oscillating. It's not by a massive amount, but I've noticed it. I mean, I'm not going to just sit and make this up. I'm telling you because I've seen it. It's very noticeable. And if you're out, it doesn't have to be a blue sky for that to happen. It could be cloudy, it could be overcast, and you could still notice it fluctuating. Like I say, it's not to do with the clouds. I don't believe that, because prior to that, the years and decades before, I remember what clouds, how it used to interact with it, how the sun and the light levels, how it affected it, you know, how clouds affected it. I mean, I could see it, but I could detect, I could feel the differences that's happening now. It's not to do with the clouds. It's to do, like, to me, it seems like it's the light source, which is the sun. And that's like it's been, the light source has been, it's like the light source fluctuating, you know, it's not a steady constant. Like before it was a constant. So, well, there's tons and tons of stuff I could go on about, but I'm just going to shorten this video just now. Anyway, so quite a few things I just wanted to put out there, and hope you've enjoyed it. You know, not everybody's going to agree. I mean, I don't expect everybody to agree. Of course, I'm not asking people to agree. I just want to say what, you know, I just want to get this out there, and I find the subject fascinating, really fascinating. I always have been into that kind of stuff anyway, but it's not like because I'm biased or because I've been into it since I was a kid and that. It's noticing this stuff because it's happening, and then picking it up firsthand, and it's not just me. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you've enjoyed that, and take care now. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Okay.